The wind screamed across the airport tarmac as Ethan Hart knelt under the tail of the Falcon 8X private jet, sweat dripping off his brow. His cracked knuckles were black with oil, fingers stiff from the brutal December air, but he kept working because he had no choice. Fuel regulators shot to hell, he muttered, clenching his jaw. No backup. Of course not. The airport senior tech had vanished hours ago. Everyone else was gone for the night. The storm had delayed half the East Coast, but this particular jet, wasn't just any aircraft. It had landed under emergency protocol, and tower chatter said it belonged to her. The ice-cold tycoon, CEO of Halcyon Tech. A woman who, rumor had it, had fired her assistant mid-air once for bringing the wrong brand of water. Ethan had heard the name, Ariel Langford. Billionaire. Ruthless. Untouchable. But he didn't care about names. He had bills. He had a 7-year-old son sleeping at the garage office because he couldn't afford daycare. He had an eviction notice on the front door that he hadn't told anyone about. He just needed to get through the night. A voice crackled in his radio. Jet Bravo. 1X needs to be mobile in 20. Langford wants her bird flying before sunrise. Ethan didn't answer. He just wiped his hands, gritted his teeth, and slid deeper beneath the belly of the beast. 15 minutes later, kneeling on frozen concrete with a wrench between his teeth, he found the issue. She was never taking off tonight. Not safely. God damn it, he whispered. He could fake the fix, patch it, and push the plane onto the taxiway. Most would. No one would know until they were 30,000 feet in the air. But he couldn't. Not after the guilt he still carried from a job 2 years ago that almost ended in a fiery crash. He picked up his radio. Ground team at tower. I'm grounding this jet. Static. Repeat, mechanic Hart. I'm grounding Jet Bravo 1X. Fuel system's compromised. If she flies tonight, she dies. A long pause. Then footsteps. Sharp. Deliberate. Coming right for him. Ethan stood up, wiping grime from his face. The door of the jet opened slowly, stairs folding down like a silent threat. A woman descended. Elegant. Ice blonde. Midnight blue coat cinched at the waist, heels clicking like gunshots. Her eyes locked on his. Calm. Piercing. Dead serious. You're the one grounding my jet? She asked. Ethan nodded, lips tight. That's right. You realize what this delay is costing me? Probably a lot, he said. But flying with a blown regulator might cost you your life. She didn't blink, just walked forward until they stood almost nose to nose. You look like hell, she said flatly. I've been working for 14 hours and I've got a kid asleep in the break room. Ethan shot back. You want to report me? Go ahead. I'm used to being the guy people blame when the rich get inconvenienced. She stared at him for a long beat. Then, to his shock, she smiled. A small, tired smile. Not cruel. Not amused. Just something real. You didn't fake the repair, she said. Most would have. No, Ethan said stiffly. I don't play dice with strangers' lives. Another pause. You're not who I expected, she said. Ethan shrugged. Neither are you. She studied him again. Longer this time. Then turned to the jet, then back. How long until it's safe? 5 hours, if I can find a replacement valve. Which I can't. Not unless a miracle drops from the sky. She took a breath. Looked like she was going to say something. Then she did the last thing he expected. She stepped closer, reached in her coat, pulled out a sleek black phone, and handed it to him. Tell my logistics director what you need, she said. They'll pay. Get flown in. Fastest route. Ethan froze. What? You're working through the night for me. Missing time with your kid. That's loyalty most of my executives don't have. He looked at the phone, then at her. What's the catch? No catch, she said. You did right by me. I'll return the favor. She turned away, walking back toward the jet. Oh, and Hart, she called over her shoulder. When this is over, I want to talk. I think I've got a better job for you. He just stood there. For the first time in months, Ethan's throat tightened. Not from stress, but something else. Shock. Hope. And for the first time in a long, long while, someone had seen him. By 3:42 a.m., the new valve had arrived by private courier, flown in under a rush order from another state. Ethan still couldn't believe it. The parts were top grade, pristine, and marked with a cost that nearly made him drop them. He wasn't used to working with gold-plated logistics and billionaire-backed resources. He was used to begging suppliers for credit extensions and duct-taping dreams together in a rust-covered shop behind a gas station. But tonight was different. Ariel Langford hadn't just helped. She'd watch him work. From a distance. Silently. No complaints. No commands. Just her coat pulled tight around her, standing beside the hangar's cold window, phone in hand, eyes narrowed. Not in judgment, but something far more unnerving. Interest. Ethan bolted the last piece in place, cleaned the seals, then tested the line pressure 3 times. No shortcuts. No guesswork. He finally stepped back, wiped the sweat from his face, and radioed. Jet Bravo. 1X is flight ready. He half expected silence. But within a minute, she was back on the tarmac, this time with her heels swapped for black flat boots and a thick scarf around her neck. "You done?" she asked. "Plane's ready," Ethan said. "Safest it's been all month." She gave a faint nod, then turned her gaze to the jet. But instead of boarding, she hesitated. "You mentioned a son." Ethan blinked. "Yeah." "How old?" 7. "Jake. Where is he?" Ethan hesitated. "Asleep in the back office. I didn't have anyone to watch him tonight. So, he came with me." Ariel looked at him, really looked at him. Then she did something strange. She walked toward the office door. He followed, uncertain, heart hammering. She stepped inside the dim space where Jake lay curled up on an old leather couch beneath Ethan's worn jacket, a half-eaten granola bar in hand, cartoon on mute on the flickering screen. Ethan was about to explain, apologize, even, but Ariel crouched down gently, smiling at the sleeping boy. Her eyes softened. "He's beautiful," she said. "Thanks," Ethan replied quietly. "He's my whole world." She stood up slowly. "You ever wonder why people like me have everything, yet can't sleep at night?" "No," Ethan said. "I've been too busy wondering how I'll keep the lights on." Her smile faltered for a second. Something flickered behind her eyes. Something hollow. Regret? Resentment? She handed him a card. "I want you to bring Jake and meet me at this address. Tomorrow. Noon sharp." "What is it?" "My home. We're going to talk about your future." Ethan stared at her. "Why would someone like you care?" She didn't blink. "Because nobody cared when I was where you are," she said, voice low. "And because you reminded me what honesty looks like." Then she left. No security. No fanfare. Just the quiet roar of jet engines warming as she disappeared inside her aircraft. Ethan watched the door close, heart racing. He looked down at the card. Langford Estate. Manhattan. Private entrance. No way this was real. But when he opened the garage office the next morning, there was a luxury car parked outside. Driver in a suit. Waiting for him and Jake. No questions. No hesitation. Jake looked up at him with sleepy eyes and asked, "Dad, are we in trouble?" Ethan knelt down, lifted his son into his arms, and smiled. "No, buddy," he whispered. "I think someone finally noticed us." The Langford Estate wasn't a house. It was a fortress in glass and steel, nestled in the heart of Manhattan, hidden behind thick privacy hedges and a towering black gate. It screamed power without saying a word. Ethan stepped out of the black luxury car gripping Jake's hand, his fingers still stained faintly with grease despite scrubbing them raw that morning. He wore his cleanest jeans and the only shirt without holes. Jake clutched a toy car and looked around wide-eyed. "This ain't a house," Jake whispered. "It's a museum." "Yeah, kid," Ethan said, voice dry. "Let's try not to break anything." Before they could knock, the door opened. A butler, yes, an actual butler, gave them a polite nod and gestured inside. Marble floors, floating staircase, paintings that probably cost more than Ethan's garage ever earned in a year. But it was quiet, peaceful, no shouting, no snapping orders, just silence. She appeared at the top of the stairs. No makeup, casual black turtleneck, pants, barefoot. Not the CEO in a press conference, but a woman at home. Ariel Langford descended without drama, her expression unreadable, though softer than before. "Good," she said, nodding. "You came." "I'm still not sure why," Ethan admitted. "And I don't like feeling like I owe people." "You don't," she said. "You impress me. That's all." She led them to a sunlit room with huge windows and warm wooden floors. A massive table sat in the middle, with breakfast laid out, eggs, fruit, pastries. Not for show, for eating. Jake stared. "Eat," she said to him gently. "You're a guest." Jake looked at Ethan, who nodded. The kid climbed into a velvet chair like it was a spaceship. When they were alone in the adjacent lounge, Ariel sat on the arm of a leather couch, arms crossed. "Ethan," she said, "what do you want out of your life?" He frowned. "To give my kids something better than a leaky apartment and secondhand dreams. Then come work for me. Full-time. I'll triple what you earn now. You'll have health insurance, retirement, and Jake's education paid for. In return, you'll lead my private tech maintenance team. Fix what others won't touch. Travel. Lead." Ethan stared. "Why?" "Because people like you are rare. You didn't take the easy way out. You risked your job to protect mine. You didn't know who I was, and you didn't care. I need people like that around me." He swallowed hard. "And if I say no, then you walk out that door. I'll still pay you for the night. Generously. And I'll make sure you're referred to every elite hangar from here to California. But I hope you don't." Ethan leaned forward. "Is this charity?" Her expression shifted. "No. This is me remembering that once a stranger did something kind for me, and it changed my life. You did that for me. Now it's my turn." He looked over at Jake, happily munching on strawberries and giggling at a butler, trying to fold a napkin into a rabbit. His throat tightened, and then, slowly he nodded. "I'm in." Ariel's face didn't break into a grin, but her eyes glimmered, and then she stood, extended her hand. "Welcome to the real game, Ethan." What he didn't know then, what he couldn't know, was that his decision had already triggered something far bigger. Powerful men in expensive suits had just received alerts. A former board rival of Ariel's would soon see Ethan as a threat, and someone from Ethan's past, someone he thought had disappeared, was about to return, very angry and very dangerous. Because kindness may open doors, but not everyone welcomes who walks through them. It started with a knock at midnight. Ethan had only been in his new company apartment for a week, a sleek, furnished place in the city, with actual heating and a room Jake could call his own. He was still adjusting to sleeping in a real bed again, one without springs stabbing his back. Life was just beginning to feel stable. Then came a knock. Loud, heavy, not the kind neighbors made. He opened the door cautiously. A man in a dark suit stood outside. Late 50s, salt and pepper beard, eyes like a closed vault. "You're Ethan Hart," he said flatly. "That's me." The man stepped forward slightly. "I work for Langford. Or rather, I used to. Until you showed up." Ethan tensed. "Is that a threat?" "No. It's a warning. You don't know who you're working for." Ethan didn't move. "And you do." The man smirked. "Better than you. She doesn't let people in unless they serve a purpose. You think you're special? You're a pawn. A tool. Like the rest of us were." He turned to leave, then paused. "Watch your back, Hart. Loyalty only matters until you become inconvenient." Then he was gone. Ethan shut the door, pulse thudding. He didn't tell Ariel about the visit. Not yet. But the seed was planted. And over the next few weeks, it only grew. Because the deeper he went into the job, the more secrets he stumbled across. Codename projects. Aircraft with no registered ID. Flight manifests that were sealed from even the FAA. Ethan wasn't just fixing private jets anymore. He was maintaining ghost planes for clients whose names never touched paper. And Ariel? She'd changed, too. Still kind. Still focused. But there were nights she'd sit in her office, alone, staring out over the city with a drink in her hand and her guard down. One night, Ethan walked in and caught her wiping tears from her face. She looked up, startled, then relaxed. "Rough day," she murmured. He didn't pry. Just sat across from her, silent. "After a while," she said, "I built this empire to protect myself. From poverty. From betrayal. From being powerless." Ethan nodded. "You succeeded." "No," she whispered. "I just became the kind of person who forgot what warmth felt like." He leaned forward. "You're not that person now." She looked at him for a long, quiet moment. "You say that like it's easy to come back." "It's not," he said. "But I've seen what you do when no one's watching. You didn't need to help me. Or Jake. But you did." She stood, walked to the window. "I didn't help you," she said. "I helped the version of me I abandoned years ago." Then she turned to him. "And now, I need you to help me." Ethan frowned. "With what?" She opened a folder on her desk. Inside were photos, surveillance stills. One of them showed Ethan and Jake leaving a park. Another showed Ariel and her jet, all taken from a distance. "They've started watching us," she said. "Ooh, a board member I cut out last year. He's been waiting. And now, he thinks you're the soft spot." Ethan stood up slowly. So what happens now? Ariel's voice dropped. Now we fight back. 3 weeks later, Ethan found himself standing beside Ariel on the rooftop helipad of Halcyon main headquarters, a black monolith of glass towering above Manhattan. The winter wind cut through his jacket, but his focus was locked on the woman next to him. Ariel's jaw was clenched, phone to her ear, eyes sharp as blades. He leaked internal security footage, she said to someone on the other end. He wants to portray Ethan as a threat to shareholder safety. Make it look like I've handed company infrastructure to a random garage mechanic with no clearance. Ethan felt his stomach twist. He's not wrong about that last part. Ariel ended the call and turned to him. No, she said firmly. He's wrong about why I did it. Down below, chaos brewed. Shareholders in suits were being corralled into an emergency board meeting. Ariel's rival, Charles Vance, the man behind the sabotage, was pushing for a vote of no confidence. I made a mistake trusting people like him, she said, walking to the edge. I used to think power protected me, but it only made me a bigger target. And now? Ethan asked. She looked at him. Now I fight with something stronger than fear. I fight with loyalty. He didn't flinch. So what do you need from me? Her eyes burned. Testify. In front of the board. Tell them the truth. What you saw. What you fixed. Why I brought you in. Ethan hesitated. They won't listen to a guy like me. They will if I stand beside you, she said. Because this time, I won't hide behind lawyers and distance. I'll stand in front of them and show them who I trust. And why? Later that day, the boardroom was packed. Vance leaned back smugly, gesturing toward Ethan with a thin smile. This mechanic was found accessing confidential systems. Without formal clearance. Without experience. Without. Ariel's voice cut through the room like a blade. He's the only reason I'm alive. Gasps. Cameras clicked. The silence that followed could have broken glass. She stepped forward, calm and lethal. The night my jet landed with a critical failure, everyone else walked away. Ethan stayed. He didn't know my name. He didn't ask for payment. He didn't fake a fix. He saved my life, my asset, and reminded me what integrity looks like. Vance scoffed. And now he's in charge of your aviation program. He's in charge because he earned it, she snapped. Because he represents everything this company forgot when it got too comfortable. Honesty, hard work, sacrifice. She turned toward Ethan and nodded. And so, with his hands still bearing the scars of 1,000 late nights and a mind never trained for corporate war, Ethan Hart looked the richest people in the room in the eye and told the truth. About everything. The storm. The broken part. The decision to speak up. The moment he almost gave up but didn't. About Jake. About what Ariel did. Not with cold words, but from the heart. When he finished, no one moved. Then one by one, members of the board began nodding. The vote came down. Ariel stayed. Vance was removed. That night, Ariel joined Ethan and Jake for dinner in their new home. Their home. A quiet brownstone she insisted they take, right down the street from the best school in the city. Jake was laughing at a silly face Ariel made. Mashed potatoes half on his plate, half on the table. And Ethan sat across from her, his heart strangely calm. He didn't belong in her world. But maybe she didn't belong in the one she'd built either. And now, they had both found something real in the wreckage. Not wealth, not control, but something rarer. Kindness, loyalty, and a second chance.